Hello, I'm Nia. Did you try knocking on my window? I must have missed you. I've been listening to my Milius. So what kind of die are you looking for?
Could this be the malicious entity? Perhaps it's wise to go along with this masquerade for now. She's got a direct view to the backyard. You should interrogate her about the lynching.
Yes, Amelie is like a call-in station. You need a two-way radio to access one. That's why I have these. Mostly, they just teach you to swear in different languages. But some of the stations can be quite interesting. I was so absorbed, I must have missed you knocking. Then how did you get inside? By the south entrance? You know what? It doesn't even matter. What matters is that you're finally here. Let's talk dice. Did you have something specific in mind? I'm a novelty dice maker. Tell me the name of your role-playing system and I'll make the die you need. That's why you're here, yes?
As she speaks, her bone-like fingers fiddle with a ring. Her bones light, but her hands strong. Role-playing games? You know the one made by Fortress Accident. Does that count?
Very good. My rate is 10 real per set, unless you want something really unusual. Take a look around and see if there is any particular stone you want to use.
This person means you, or no one else. Absolutely no harm. She will answer freely and honestly.
How did I become one? It was a business decision. I was a regular jeweler at first, but that's an unfocused field with too much competition. Some of my friends were role players. They asked me to make some polyhedral dice out of cobalt. That was my first order. I grew it from there. Not especially. I like working with rare materials and a steady pay. And role players as customers? They're nice people.
She's thankful for the security they provide her.
We're inside the chimney of an old central furnace. It's strange, I know. But when I arrived here, all the other rooms were taken, so I had to build myself a makeshift home. Besides, I don't really have to pay any rent here, so that's a plus.
Plaisance was right. There's an entity living in the chimney. You should ask her about the curse.
Creative.
More or less. Are you interested in anyone specific?
Oh, quite a lot of them spring to mind.
Yes, I think it was called Androgynous Orlando or something similar. They weren't a big hit around here. Turns out that working class men don't like genderless haircuts. They're scared of that word.
You wouldn't like it either. The others would laugh at you. It's not about the haircut, it's about the confidence.
I guess it just wasn't the time yet. It wasn't merely a gym, it was Artemiteps Boxing Club, a community project created to steer at-risk youth away from drugs and crime. A kind man from Zemsk. I heard he had some trouble with the law when he was younger, and that's why he wanted to start the gym, as his way of giving back. Kuno. Who's Kuno? Oh yes, you mean the kid with the sailor's mouth. Yes, I've heard him yelling profanities in the backyard. I think it would take more than a gym to help that kid. It didn't. If anything, it made the youth situation in Martinez even worse. At some point, someone started a rumor that the punching bag downstairs was full of amphetamines.
It's not really full of that. No one would store their drugs like that.
Eventually, the coalition took away the funding and the club went bankrupt. This was a few years ago. It's gotten much more peaceful around the plaza ever since. Oh, this one's a mess. There used to be a company that promised to repair windows 24 hours a day. What could go wrong with this one, right? Turns out, the business was actually set up as a front for an illicit group that was producing snuff milieu. Who would have guessed?
What's the snuff milieu?
And they never cleaned up the debris either. Now it's just littering the hallway and I have no idea how to get rid of it on my own. It's a sub-Rosa radio station that broadcasts real murders with real victims. Some people pay good money to get off on it.
Don't worry, the ICP has a separate division that deals exclusively with unlicensed sub-Roses. This isn't our problem.
Good luck with that. It's not easy catching those perpetrators. You mean Mr. Fabron, the taxidermist? No, he mostly just did drugs. Anything else? There used to be a fashion atelier here, but I have forgotten the head designer's name. They were doing well for a couple of years, until the insect rights activists came. The atelier produced a certain collection that used chitin among the materials. Apparently chitin is made in the Occident, where it's extracted from beetle wings. And you know how all kinds of political movements are big in the Occident. The activists shut down the biggest chitin supplier, which of course caused the price to skyrocket. And, naturally, all the most fashionable tastemakers refused to be seen in chitin from then on. The atelier went bankrupt before they could finish the collection. Really? Anyway.
Poor guy. Suddenly, you get a feeling that insects are important to the case somehow. It's hard to say why.
They were made by a company called Slipstream. After they pivoted from making rotor blades to skis, their chief executive took off on a vacation with all their money. Honestly, I think it's quite funny. I think he's still sending out holiday transmissions from Tulula or Tiumotiri or Hashtkor or wherever he is. The usual, I imagine. That he's been thinking up all kinds of new business plans and can't wait to get started on them just as soon as he returns.
Men like that are a curse.
Sure, but Slipstream is history now. All their remaining assets got seized by the bailiffs in 47. I have no idea why those skis and blades are still lying around in the house. Not much use now, I guess.
They were just the props. Why return them? Maybe you could make a sword out of one. No, wait, forget it. It would take too long.
Fortress Accident, the radio game studio.
She liked them.
They were an interesting bunch. We talked about role-playing systems every now and then. Once, I even saw two of them get into fisticuffs over Wirral. They certainly took their work very seriously, even if they seemed to be chronically liberal with their schedules. The usual, they ran out of money and couldn't get the project done on time. Well, I did hear them talking at times. They seemed to believe they were historical individuals on some grand quest. Yes, but when the money started to run out, they just began to complain a lot about capitalism. You know, how the markets are rigged to keep out new businesses and so on. In the end, they just didn't get it done. They didn't have enough willpower to produce something truly historic and to show up to work on time. And so is producing something extraordinary.
Something strains her face before she looks up again.
Anything else? Oh boy, the fabled Revo Show ICT. You're in for a treat here. The place was owned by two guys who had some rather innovative ideas about marketing. The bear was one of them. Now ask me about their other ideas. There was really just one, and it involved picking out the prettiest girls in the neighborhood and paying them 20 cents per hour to man the booth. And by man the booth, I mean slump behind the counter with a face that could maim you if you ever dared to disturb their bored magazine browsing.
Sounds like she really didn't like those girls. Fritta does the same thing.
Oh, but they did. They did show up to work, and not alone. There were also acne-ridden girlfriends and gorilla-like boyfriends loitering near the ice cream stand. And they already had the bear. The bear. Of course not. The bear was terrifying. No one wants ice cream guarded by a hostile apex predator. To make matters worse, the fridge didn't work too well either, and half the ice cream came out malformed and partially melted. Eventually, Ravishaw Ice City lost the price war to its rival, Class A 5000. Class A 5000 sold caramel sundaes for only 5 cents a piece, out of regular fridges. The taxidermist who made it said it was his vision beast. He said he met his vision beast while high on desiccants. He called it Megatherion. Megatherion, a mega wild beast. It's an imaginary beast that guides you through life by telling you to do more drugs, mostly.
The horrific necktie tightens around your neck, strangely excited. But it doesn't feel particularly fun this time around.
What? No, officer. I don't have a vision beast. Normal people don't have vision beasts. Only drug-addled madmen like the taxidermist do. Neckties? I guess they do sometimes, officer. But I don't understand how it's relevant to our discussion. Anyway, now you know the story of the fallen ice cream empire.
Little sparkling embers under the window.
Anything else? Another failed business, perhaps? I've been here for a long time. Oh, right. I hope you didn't try to ring me. I think none of those doorbells work, including mine. I'm still in the middle of connecting the wires. Sorry about the confusion.
The doorbell with the empty name card must belong to her then.
That's right. I haven't even written my name there. As I said, it's quite useless right now. It doesn't work yet. You could say so. Both houses were built at the same time and under the East Delta Commerce Center project. That explains why you can call the whirling from the intercom, albeit I doubt that anyone responds.
If the whirling is part of the same building, then it's part of the doomed commercial area. The darkness of this place is there, too.
Right. It used to be a gaming arcade. This is an ancient failure. Before my time. I'm not surprised, however. My advice? Don't base your business on a fad. Hypnotism, fluorography, trick-track, especially pinball.
Agreed. Pinball is the worst.
His disdain for pinball could not be clearer.
It can't be true. They don't work here anymore. They've been gone for years. Are you sure it was Slipstream SEA? Was it a woman? Maybe it was Plaisance from the bookstore. Tricentennial Electrics? It used to be a major electric company 100 years ago. Are you sure it wasn't just some kids playing a prank on you?
No, it was something else. It was eerie. Whatever happened, keep your cool. It's probably better to admit that it was a harmless prank.
Pranks can be eerie. Oh, the kids these days. We were just one of them, and now they're terrorizing us. No solidarity. Why would Slipstream SEA have a 100-year-old recording as their doorbell message? Doesn't make any sense. I'm still convinced it was nothing more than some elaborate prank.
My money is on electrical anomaly. I've heard of these, especially in an old building like this.
Sure, I'm listening. I'm pretty sure it still doesn't work, but sure. What do you want? Sure, I'm listening. Good. I hope it clarified things a bit. What else? I've heard the stories, but I don't think those stories are true. Plaisance, the bookshop lady? I've heard that her business is doing rather well. Have the energies spared her somehow? Ah, the Seminese trinkets, of course. All right, but it's not just the bookstore that's still up and running. What about the whirling in racks? Some people say it's part of the building complex. And then there is me. I've been here for 14 years, selling novelty dice to role-playing enthusiasts. Not exactly a million-real business idea, yet somehow I've survived despite the talk of malicious energies. Strange, isn't it? Malignant entity? What does that even mean? Some kind of sorceress? What about you, officer? Do you think I'm the malignant entity?
Time has come to face the source. Fear not, for the forces of the universe are supporting you in this psychic quest.
Is it now? I've always thought it's a rather mundane and boring place with no supernatural surprises in sight. Well, if you ever find a way to explain all those inconsistencies in the curse, let me know.
Plaisance is not going to like what you have to tell her.
Oh, it's you again. Are you looking for a die? Of course. Tell me what you have in mind. I think I have just the right one for you.
Police colors.
Not the most original, I know, but sometimes the obvious choice is obvious because it's best. Here, catch. They're a gift from me.
A beautiful woman tossing you a gift. Whatever you do, don't overthink it. Mr. Smooth moves. You snatch the dice out of the air with one hand, just like you're in a movie.
Oh, what are the odds? The red one is made of bloodstone with a lapis lazuli inlay, and the blue one is the inverse. I believe these dice are your lucky charm, officer.
She winked back at you. Can you believe it? You truly are Mr. Smooth Moves.
You definitely need luck in Martinez. Was there anything else? I'm listening. Good. I hope it clarified things a bit. What else?
You feel nothing. If anything, it's uncomfortably warm in here.
Excuse me, what are you doing?
Officer!
Oh no, not the zipper.
A tool to get the zipper open.
And why would you do that? And what technique is that?
Miss, I apologize for my colleague's behavior. He is still recovering from an unusual medical episode.
Officer, this isn't how mature adults deal with their feelings.
Now you feel something. The cold damp of shame washing over you.
The air pressure told you to take your pants off in my studio? Can you please employ this special technique somewhere else? I work here and my work requires concentration. Half-naked people don't help with that. Nothing really. I didn't know him.
The lieutenant looks at his notebook, then the woman under the large window.
Your window looks directly onto the courtyard. You're saying you didn't see or hear anything unusual last Sunday evening?
I'm sorry, detective, but as you know, I usually have my headphones on when I'm working. It shuts out most of the daily ruckus behind my window. Well, there's always something going on in the Whirling's backyard. During daytime, there are usually those kids. And lately, I've been seeing a lot of drunk workers hanging about. Must be because of the strike.
She's not sorry to disappoint you. Informing on someone in a murder investigation would intrude upon her focused existence.
But I never saw anyone during that fateful Sunday night, I'm afraid. I might have, but in this case, all I would have seen is my own reflection staring back from the darkness. It's really hard to make anything out in the yard when it's dark outside. Besides, I rarely get up to look out the window when I'm in the zone. It's an odd profession, making dice for people, but I like it, and I prefer doing this to sitting at home.
She nods.
Anything else, officer?
The barbell waits patiently on the floor. There he still is, looking right through you with his white eyes. The body below is entirely dedicated to that corpse smell. Emitting it is all it does now. As you breathe in, the odor comes over you. It's a smell of the mind telling you to run, and your stomach to wring itself empty. With your hands at your sides and your eyes squinting, you stand in it.
They do after 7 days, yes. We are deep in decomposition here.
The man before you is naked, but for a pair of underpants and enamel boots. His skin is greenish, marbled with decaying veins, and blotched by lividity. A fading web of tattoos covers his chest and shoulders. The cargo belt used to fasten him to the branch above appears industrial in strength. The material appears to be ceramic. Its clean white stands in stark contrast to the decaying flesh above the knee. The man wore thick polymer socks, probably for padding. A fine array of interlocking plates covers them. Delicate and fragile, they feel alien to the world around you, out of place somehow. These are clearly not boots. They're armor, possibly part of a larger set.
Indeed. Technically speaking, these are sabatons, not boots. Ceramic plate, zirconium dioxide most likely. This is where the make would be. Under the heel, fair weather model T500 VE. I'm guessing that's vitreous enamel. This is advanced stuff. The locals probably scavenged it. It would be odd if he had more on after 7 days. We should keep a lookout for these species. The armor could yield information. This is one thing he might actually know.
The sabatons dangle off the man's decaying form, ageless and synthetic.
It is. It's expensive. We've requested similar material for our tactical units for years now. The constabularies deemed it too costly. In that time, we've lost 6 men to semi-automatics. For a full set, about 4 years of wages.
For the northwest region of Revachol, an officer's average yearly income is 5,500 rial, unadjusted for rank.
As a wage, it's regrettably small. But for a piece of hardware, yes, that's a lot. That's for us to find out. My initial report on the area suggests he was a security guard for the harbor company. But that's just hearsay. Just something I scraped together from my station. An area report on Martinez. I'm sure you did the same.
He's not actually sure of that. He's just being tactful.
I agree. This equipment is way beyond what a guard can afford.
A small bell-like sound fills the air, like tapping on the side of a porcelain cup. Suddenly, your biceps coil up. Your elbow is sharp and cocked for a punch.
It's anything but. This material is a kinetic redistributor. It spreads kinetic energy horizontally, from plate to plate, dissipating it entirely. See?
Faint, organic lines cover the plates where they separate into smaller ones. These plates then divide into smaller plates until there are hundreds of them altogether. Like the scales of some ancient white monster, cracked and pearly. This feels dangerous. Are you sure? The stench fills your nostrils. As you push downward, an ominous creaking sound comes from above.
Stop! Pig's gonna pull his head off.
Brutal! What's wrong with you, asshole? Where's he letting Goku know?
I don't know, baby. I don't know why he's such a...
Officer, if I may ask, what were you trying to achieve by pulling on the deceased foot?
The cadaver slowly twists on the cargo belt, his torso covered in tattoos and extremities blotched pink and blue. The hangman's knot is pulled tight by the weight of the corpse below. Yellow, hard-edged polyester cuts into his neck. Above, a sliding buckle ties the belt to the branch. This is a steel-reinforced cargo lashing belt, big brother of the regular cargo belt. It's used for tying cargo under 6-rotor airships.
Airlifting? I thought it was used on lorries for strapping cargo to them. The local harbor uses 6 rotors to shuffle containers around. I get the sense they use whatever was on hand without paying much attention to not incriminating themselves. The brief suggested as much, politically motivated by the ongoing strike. Did you not get a briefing? Okay, you should ask me for one the first moment we get. I was afraid it would be. Thin steel wiring, parallel strands. This makes getting him down more problematic than I had assumed. A noose is one of those things that's easier to use one way around. That ladder can't carry a grown man. I didn't see any splintering either, did you? I think they lassoed the branch, then pulled on the belt to close the buckle.
The cadaver hangs from the cargo belt, limbs limp and torso covered in tattoos. An intricate web of blue lines stretches across the torso, from the right shoulder to the solar plexus. Each time they intersect, a small white star is formed in their crossing. Hundreds of fading asterisks riddle his skin. Their concentration is highest around his heart. His corpse is marked by stars. Alcohol and heartbreak. Your fist clenches suddenly. Decay is creeping on the tattoo. Already, most of the canvas that's holding it has darkened. Now, it disintegrates slowly, letting out a stink.
Of no nation that I know of. If anything, it reminds me of religious illumination, last or penultimate century. Men who live harsh lives often turn to innocentic worship. But which one? I see no trace of a humanoid figure. I agree.
He wears a wide leather belt around his waist and a gun holster under his arm. He takes a thin piece of milled aluminium from his coat pocket and pulls it open. Sounds like a sword being unsheathed. A small lens appears, some sort of camera.
A Trigger Sunshine Mini.
Triggered is the world's leading manufacturer of intercommunication devices, primarily projectors. The camera before you looks familiar somehow.
Shit, Kuno! What the fuck is that?
An instant color camera.
This is the first time he openly acknowledges the kid's existence.
I have only 2 ampoules, so nobody move. I don't want to waste one.
A sound, a shrill flash, followed by the breaking of a small ampoule of glass. You see streams of color pour onto the thick, glossy piece of paper, rolling out.
In case we need it. It contains insight to the victim's person. By his build, I'd say this was a man of physical violence. The story he wanted his body to tell was important to him. It is his letter, to us. Someone should decipher it. We'll need to show it around. Sure, just don't lose it.
The glassy-eyed corpse looks by, his mouth mute and his skin as colorful as the chemical rainbow on the photo paper, teeming with opportunistic organisms. His eyes are milky white and blind to the world, protruding comically from their sockets. There is no one home, just subaquatic terrors there. These eyes used to be blue, baby blue. Dark brown hair grows on his head. His face is ready to explode from the organic processes inside. The death's head grin has passed. What remains is an unrecognizable mess. Underneath the curdled meat there is an expression, not carried on his features, but below, inside, an expression of pleasure. This man was experiencing joy at the moment of his death.
Into the wild pale yonder. In the past, way out in the west. I'm a joke. Look at me. A killer, a motherfucker, and a killer. Go ahead, Gobbo. What do you mean? It's the power of your imagination.
Yeah, man! Don't be crazy! Inanimate objects and dead people can't really talk to you! Your wild imagination is doing this. Ask some more of those questions you love so much.
He loves those. Because you're a copperoonie. Look at all of them go. Do you want more questions? Coming right up, copperoonie Rooney. This is getting upbeat now. Fuck no. You're no Rooney. Between you and me, your name is probably Harry. You might be onto something there. Because you have love, did me in, Brother Copo. It was love all along. Sure, Lobo, I can ask you a question. Why are you doing this? Looking at my face, motionless, looking into my eyes, standing here. Why are you investigating my murder?
Something is on its way. Something hidden. It's coming. A miracle from the northwest, and it's almost here. You can feel it in the air, on your hands. The cold spring air smoothing them over.
Do I remind you of someone?
A child born with Muller's disease, harlequinism, grown up miraculously.
You sure we got out of that one, Coppellini? Maybe I was getting my rocks off. Do I look like an erotic auto-asphyxiation type to you? Captain Coppodromo, I fear we are drifting away, fixating on sexuality again. Let's go with a simpler question.
He didn't choke himself. You know it.
Come back later, Coppo. Amuse yourself with my frank manners and my memento mori features. If possible, also, see me in your dreams.
His eyes are milky white. These eyes, dark brown. Underneath the curdled meat there is an expression, not carried on his features, but below, inside, an expression of pleasure. This man was experiencing joy at the moment of his death.
Why do you think so? Okay.
I am less skeptic about this hunch, he thinks, than I was of the supernatural premonitions that overtook you at the trash container. He then covers his nose again.
Good. The victim is of Occidental descent. Light brown hair, blue eyes.
When he says Occidental, he means white, originally from the Occidental subcontinent on Muindi. The corpse looks right through you as you distance yourself from its stench, eyes like a shark. As you narrow your eyes, the monster before you blurs into a violent mess of green and pink. Only the lower extremities are pink with a dash of blue. His fatted hands, thighs, and his neck, just above the noose. The rest of the corpse appears dark green in the cold spring air.
How should I know why you are squinting, officer? Oh. You are trying to assess lividity.
The monster comes back into focus, an explosion of color, coursing with dark marbled veins. His stomach appears pregnant with something. Black liquid streams down his thigh and onto his boot.
So, what do you think? I do. Most of them are post-mortem. Maybe even all of them. The delinquents have made our jobs harder with their little sport.
Stop talking in riddles, coin slot.
He means you fucked him up good, Kuno. Fucked him up brutal-like.
A pool of blood and feces has eaten into the frozen mud below the man's feet. Purge liquid is dripping into it, drop by drop.
The victim appears to have contained no more than half a kilogram of digestion at the time of death.
The fuck he's saying?
Talking about shit.
Did we? I don't feel lucky. I agree.
There are crow's feet in his eyes. He's laughing silently.
Totally dead. No siree. I think he was upright immediately after death. Blood has gathered in his hands and feet, and his neck. The noose acted like a tourniquet, keeping the blood in his head. The hypostasis here is in tune with the hanging. That's what I think. Everything here seems to corroborate that assumption, but we should still get him down before assigning a probable cause of death.
But there is no breath to catch, only the cadaver filling the air and your nostrils. He slowly rotates before you, decomposing.
Of course. You have questions, don't you? Come back later, Corporal.
Are you sure we finished the preliminary examination of the cadaver? We might miss some of these things once he's done.
The cadaver slowly twists on the cargo belt, his torso covered in tattoos, and extremities blotched pink and blue.
The steel-reinforced belt presents a unique challenge. I brought chain cutters, but I don't see a good angle of approach to the belt. The cadaver is a good 1.2 meters up. Neither one of us can reach the belt without assistance. And even if we do, there's the question of cutting the airship strength material.
The man before you is naked.
Yes, we do. Someone else? You mean like the police? Someone already did. You know who came? We did. Because we have made bad life decisions. I know it's hard, but I assure you, the others won't come to help us. And we have a growing sanitary concern here. We need to get him down, fast. Climb up there and saw the branch? There has to be a less risky way, with less falling down of trees. I was really hoping we wouldn't. The Union appeared to be suspect in this case. It seems like a dangerous route to go down.
But what other options? The corpse twists on the belt, like chicken on a skewer.
Yeah! Bang bang time, pig! Shoot his head off!
How? It absolutely will not, officer. That's not how physics work. It will maybe cut one thread loose.
Yeah, now we're talking. Entertain a Kuno with some shit.
They'll miss! The pigs will miss Kuno!
The lieutenant is undecided. On one hand, he wants to shoot some gun. On the other, it's an awfully stupid idea.
I'll blow his head off.
Take it! Take the shot!
Yeah, take the shot. Kuno wants some of that shit.
Silence. With his elbow sharp, the lieutenant unzips his jacket and produces a lightweight firearm. He drops a paper cartridge in the barrel, separates the scouring stick, and gives the cartridge 5 tucks, securing it in place. That's a Kiel A90-90 Armistice, mass-produced muzzle loader, ascetic, frugal, one of the most common firearms in the world. He then steps back and assumes the fellow's test position, taking aim. The corner of his eye twitches. His finger is on the trigger. Voice is drowned in a shrill blast that echoes off the walls of the surrounding tenements. A cloud of smoke slowly parts in the air as the lieutenant steps back and says to himself,
God damn it.
A lot of things were wrong with that shot. The fellow's test was the wrong choice. His shoulders were raised, but above all, he cannot trust his eyesight. He feels bad about it, about his eyes mostly. Just having bad eyesight, probably from a young age. Whatever you do, do not console him.
Fucking idiot! Mookaba asshole!
Kuno could have hit it easy, but then Kuno's not fucking handicapped, is he?
No, we are lucky as it is. We didn't break anything, and the victim remains uncompromised. Any more mistakes could put us in an unfortunate position with the locals. We have eyes on us. I didn't do us any favors with that. I have to say, it's beginning to look unlikely we can get him down without assistance.
You know, you don't feel like too bad of a shot yourself.
It's bad as it is, us shooting firearms like punks. Go ahead, I'm not stopping you. Just don't lose it.
They only have one gun!
This is the sorriest pair of pigs Kuno's ever seen.
Yeah, take it, you fucking banani boyka! Take it and shoot yourself in the mouth!
The cold piece of bakelite and gunmetal is surprisingly light. Your fingers fit right through the guard, instinctively resting on the trigger.
The fuck are you waiting for, Kuno? Tell him to shoot himself in the mouth!
The buckle comes into focus in your sights. You stand with your feet planted firmly in the ground and your left hand supporting your gun arm.
Why don't you just shoot yourself in your mouth? At least you won't miss.
Your field of view narrows. The branch slowly moves, becoming entirely two-dimensional. The metal buckle glimmers, slick, with the falling rain. The corpse slowly rotates.
Look, he's crying! You gonna cry now, fucking faggoty?
The buckle explodes into tiny pieces, coming loose with a whir. With your hand numb from the recoil, you look at the body slump down. For a moment, the man appears to kneel in front of you, looking straight at you, helpless, trapped within itself.
Communism.
It takes a millisecond for the association to flash within your cortex. You have no idea where it's coming from, only that it's right. Then the rigor in his muscles gives up, and he smashes sideways into the spring mud, letting out a horrid stench.
By being a damn good shot. Ace is high.
The Ace is High, a custom invented by the aerostatic brigades during the Revolution, is used to celebrate success in Revachol, especially in sports. The gesture is spread across the world, despite the defeat of the revolutionaries themselves. The lieutenant takes a little hop to perform the customary salutation. Your palm hurts from the slap. It's precise and down to the point.
I knew these guys were
We will perform a field autopsy and determine the cause of death. But before... Excuse me.
Slumped on the ground like that has not improved the way the corpse smells. The fall seems to have released something deep inside it.
It looks like I feel like taking a break from the stench. I'm sorry to interrupt the jubilations here. Just a little breather before we do the autopsy. Yes, the 4 phases of a murder scene. 1. Investigation of the scene. I'm satisfied with that part. The trash container, the prints, we've been thorough enough. 2. Initial examination of the victim. We were pretty good in our efforts, and the autopsy will provide another chance. 3. Field autopsy. This will not be pleasant or easy, and it will have to be performed on the scene.
The fuck are they on about?
Cops are gonna cut his shit up next.
4 and final, transport of the coroner's case to the district morgue. I'll do that. God, it stinks. No, you and I are detectives. The honorary rank of detective signifies our ability to handle the entire incident chain. From crime scene to autopsy to cleanup, we do it all. Your station would not have assigned you the case otherwise. This case is important. In the meantime, we should try to interview Evrard Claire, the leader of the Union. Harbor property was clearly used in the hanging. The harbor just east of here. Getting in might prove a challenge, though. I would also suggest we interview Joyce, the Wild Pines representative. But we've already done that, so good for us. 1 down, 1 to go. Yes. And those were the interviewees. Let's go.